Okay, so tonight in Clear's Tai Chi, we really worked on rooting and then basically how to increase the power we're able to derive from the pressure created by really good and proper root. And when I say pressure, I don't mean I'm tensing for it, not that. Just that if I had water in a container this big, and I squeezed that water, all of a sudden the water that was soft and sort of floppy, if you will, is hard. And it's the pressure that's coming back from it. And so how do I get that pressure out of my root? And one of the things you can do to get pressure is to minimize the space that thing, like when we were pressing on the water that I was talking about between my hands. Well, same thing with a hose. If I've got a gallon a minute coming out, glow, 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 this kind of a thing, but I take my thumb and I cover half the end, all of a sudden what was glow, 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 glow becomes like that, and there's a lot more power and pressure coming out of the thing because I basically still had that amount of force involved, and I decreased the space that it could operate in by half. And so with this, I can be rooting and basically keeping the same root depth, shift so that I'm single weighted, so that now this part of me is basically all yin and not using it, and there's at least a line, if you will, or pole sized rooting, and I made sure the root didn't come up, because it's really easy when you shift over to have the root come up some, because it'll feel kind of crushing to your leg, right? And so the way that I recommend you begin typically is to take a partner that the one where you're both working on rooting skills, and you can get that from us. It's on our the root of internal power if you don't know anything about this or want more education on it. And I root and you root, and we're using each other to help to get deeper rooting. And so then you step away but still feel that, and then practice shifting to one leg while keeping the root that deep and not letting it come back up, and you'll feel that crush effect. Now it might look like I dropped a lot, but look, I dropped like an inch or two, that's it. But I do have all of the weight inside of me crushing down and into the ground through me, doing that. And what happens here, turn sideways if you would, is that if I'm here, this is no root or anything, and I want him to stay exactly the same, you can do this with a partner, and then I work on the root, and actually I'll do this without rooting, right? And then I root, drop root, let root go down into the ground. There's that one coming in stronger. There's that. And then I'll go to one leg, but keeping the root at least the same, and it produces a fairly remarkable result because it's the end of the water hose kind of an effect being using your body as the hose. Come back again. Make sure you can do this on, if you're working this, both sides. Here's root, this way, and we did it with pushing, and we did it with, put your hands on me once. There's down with nothing. There's down with rooting. There's single weighted. And you saw him towards the ground. Same thing with pulling, nothing, but just physical heaviness, rooted double, rooted single. And I'll do it off the other leg too. Sorry, you weren't ready. All right, like that. And you can use this in playing in push hands. So from here, and I'll make sure I'm this kind of a thing, push into me anywheres. Try to catch me a little. Okay. Anyways, you get the idea. And then you can also do it where you are working your form and you're really staying single weighted, which by the way, if you're doing your form and your weight's on both legs, it's really easy to lean a lot. And then your root, when you do that, comes up and out, and it's an incorrect. If I can stay really good here and I'm doing my form work, then, and keep that crushing rooting on the leg, then I'm really doing that kind of work. It's one of the reasons why one of the principles, primary principles in Tai Chi is this pulled up, sink, and stay straight for the most part. And you don't see a lot of lean kind of stuff. And even if there is some, it's usually kept within the frame of your own stance, because otherwise you lose that quality. And it's very powerful that way, as you guys can see. By the way, in Clear's internal push hands, same thing. Here's just pushing with nothing, with some root. And when I go single weighted for the rules of the game, you're not allowed to pick a foot up. That doesn't mean I can't go empty in it and put all the pressure on the other one. So that side's empty, even though it's there. This side's full. And you get the idea off the touch. I'll let you see it on the other side too. Yeah, be in there strongish. And I actually picked that one up off the floor, so my bad. And that time I didn't, so, or not as much. Anyways, be careful with your partner on any of that. Keep up the great work. If you want more on that, like I said, root of internal power will help you some for the rooting. Our member site, Clear's martialarts.com, will have the full class on this video and the other videos in this series so that you can begin to really pick up on this material. Thanks for watching, and be careful with your partners, and great practice.